welcome everyone to episode 6 of the Monkey Business Show. Today we have a special guest. Hello everybody. Seb, yay, you made it. It only took us 6 weeks to get you in here.
Oh, come on.
How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Feels weird to be on a show with you guys. Feels good.
Yeah. I have to warn you, I have a little bit delay, so if I interrupt, just keep going through.
I know it's just about you being rude. No problem.
Always. I got a message from Seb telling me it feels really weird that I have to go and buy my own webcam. How is this happening?
Like I feel like I've had webcams in the past, right? And I've always like looked down on them. And now I'm like, now that I need one, I don't even know where they are anymore. And then I feel silly that I just have to go and buy one, you know. It's more of a walk of shame, kind of a purchase of shame than anything.
And then we also have here Mike. Mike is a new face in our podcast and in our organization. He's the head of Esports. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, not too much. You just asked me to join this podcast a day ago and said, "Hey, we're going to talk about things. You want to come on?" Sounds good. What better way to kick off my Friday?
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about Dota, and I need a League of Legends person just so we can humiliate and
just to beat up. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. I see. Yeah. No.
Maybe too big to be beaten up. I'm gonna backtrack on this one.
we need like the inferior MOBA representative.
I was one. Inferior. Yeah. Where's the major being held again?
Here we go.
Oh, right away.
Here's the major.
First 2 minutes. Yeah.
And Johan, hello. You also got a hello.
I'm back. I'm back every week. Look at that. I'm always here.
Yeah.
Consistency is key.
Yeah. I'm the budget guest. No.
I actually like the host.
Become more important guest.
Of course, I am happy to be back and happy to have Seb and Mike on. And yeah, been begging for weeks, and now we finally found the right price, and Seb is here.
Yeah, no, you're gonna realize your mistake.
It's okay. So we can subtitle this.
I have a few items for the agenda that we are going to be talking about. We received last week, a question from our fan, which was, how do we fix Dota? And I think that it was very interesting to have here somebody from the inferior MOBA and obviously Seb, so we can talk about different opinions and different things. But before we start, we always talk a little bit of, just little funny things. So Mike joined the organization in December. Is somebody that I had a chance to work years ago when we were both in Immortals. And even though my time in Immortals was not the best and the most rewarding one, he was one of the good guys, and I thought very highly of him. And I specifically had a part of my contract that said that I could not steal Mike when I left. It was part of my termination. So after the time passed where I could, it happens that he was also ready to leave. So I was like, okay, this is happening and nobody's stopping me. So he's now officially our head of esports since December. And yeah, it's been honestly a very incredibly transformative experience for me. So he's been doing a great job. But now the fun part is, obviously Johan and Seb have designed, nurtured, and literally created everything we do competitively. So one of his biggest tasks is, how does he continue nurturing and evolve it? Or how Seb says it, how he doesn't fuck it up? So yeah, I would like to put you on blast right now. And Seb, Johan, obviously you guys have an incredibly value-driven company, and it's always a little bit exciting and at the same time intimidating, welcoming someone else into this world to keep your baby. How was for you guys when I presented the opportunity of working with Mike and such?
No, so I'll go first. I mean, it's I would say we've needed expertise. We've been looking for seniorship. We've been looking for people who know what they're like, who know things and who've done things before. That would be the ideal fit. And well, when you proposed getting someone from past experience with experience, I think it was completely down the alley. And I only hear good things. And now I'll also get to make up my mind myself soon. But no, I mean, so far so good, I guess you could say. And I hope, Mike, you're ready to have some nice talks when you get here, and we can hang out with the Dota guys, and you can get an idea of what the spirit is, and what we've been trying to do, and how we've done things in the past, kind of like the experiences we've made, and the way we choose to then do things with that. Because yeah, I mean, those are the things that are best, is the ones that you feel proud of, and that you've worked for, and that you got smarter, and you worked hard, and hopefully with new talent, new people, new Dota team, we're able to transfer all these good things and all these principles, I guess. You want to, yeah, principles or methods, tools, anything we can, transfer experience, transfer the good stuff, and lead by a good example.
And for you, Seb, how was it? Obviously, when we analyzed the opportunity of working with Mike, I think that the exciting part for me was that because he worked in League of Legends and he worked in Overwatch, there were extremely structured environment where you need a very high level of professionalism and to carry as a real business, because they're two franchises. And we wanted someone that had that background, even if it was necessarily not a Dota person. Because it's actually one of the things that Sebastian and Johan have really asked me, that we have to find the best people, hopefully part of the community. But if not, how do we professionalize OG? And the truth is that some of those most professional minds are in other games. So we needed to go and lure them in. The first thing that I asked him is to watch True Side 8. That was like, look, you gotta see this, And you watch it with your wife and everything.
Yeah, actually, so I watched it with my wife, and then I went when we were in Raleigh for the Halo thing. I actually watched it with a friend of mine because I was like, man, this is so good. So I just watched it again with him. But yeah, I had my first day, actually, I think my official first day was watching True Sight 8 and 9 back to back, and then all the other content I could get my hands on for it. I'll be biased and just say Anna's my favorite player, so that'll be my sticking
because
point.
You haven't met him.
I've heard it's probably because I've heard stories from other people about him and how things kind of came together. So I don't know if it's true or not, but we'll that he just like showed up one day and it was like, yeah, I'm just gonna play this, and like never like just kind of appeared and just does really well and like never actually grinded the game for it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome that you could just do that if that's actually what happened. So
is that inspiring to you? Is that how you wish you could just like, wake
show up
and like, oh yeah. Easy enough.
Think I'll win TI today. Yeah, just casually. Would be great. It's a very it just seemed like very nonchalant. What was that? It just seemed like a very like
Anna? Was this...
I think it was just like from what I saw, it just seemed like it was very nonchalant, where like going through things, like it was like, oh yeah, I'll just play this and I'll just happen to carry on Ember, or I'll do this and I'll happen to do, like, it just seemed very casual and like it was very laid back, whereas like watching it, like Seb, you're like super intense the whole time, like yelling behind people, and it's like I like both of them honestly, but it's I like that juxtaposition of kind of the attitudes there. But I think it's just always funny to be like, cool guy anime, put the katana on tip the fedora and just leave for showing up, if you will. So
I mean, nonchalant does sound like a very fitting word to describe Anna. Like, I think it's a very good way to put it.
And maybe it's just I feel like we're talking about characters. I don't know you guys. I think for me it's Johan, about how you guys are about to play TI and he's talking about how comfortable his jeans are. It's like, this guy doesn't really know that he's here. He's thinking something else, pasta, like, what am I gonna eat later?
It actually sounds
I will
like
say
that.
stretchy jeans.
It's a good trick to, I don't know if the word is properly used, but to kind of ground yourself, and it's something that's quite important in these moments where like you go back to some fundamentals about how you feel, like how you feel in your clothes, how you feel in your body. Do you feel tired? Do you feel good? How's your energy level and stuff? Johan has been, I don't know, I think it's quite spontaneous to him. I mean, he's here, so it's quite convenient. He can say for himself. But I think these are things that, for instance, I've had to learn and I've had to think about. Like, I was kind of pushed to think about it, and learn these tricks to kind of deal with the pressure better and these kind of things. I think for some people it's just kind of natural, but it's very important. It sounds like something a bit like light that doesn't really matter. I actually actually a good trick. It's like a secret trick for these big events. Not necessarily
Not a secret
talking
trick
about
that
your
we
genes.
keep
You can
for
talk
free?
about anything.
It's all in the genes, man.
It's not
Talk
about the genes.
That's
I
how you
just,
win tournaments.
I just want people to
Yeah.
focus on the right thing here. The keyword is not genes. It's more about how you feel. Yeah.
Pants are the most underrated part of the pro player experience. Everyone's like, the jersey's got to fit well, but if your pants are bunching up when you're sitting down, don't try to
I
change
have
the
a story
subject.
for
This is a
Johan.
great conversation, Jay.
No. I want to keep on talking about pants because Johan messages me saying it's very important for me that for TI we all wear the same pants and the same color pants. Johan, what color were your pants on TI10?
Dude, I don't know, probably gray or probably the
correct.
green and
The brown
black one.
Correct. What color were the
Okay.
pants of everybody else in the team?
So we gave up on color coordinating. We didn't have the pants. That was the problem.
You were the
It's like
only
color
one not
coordination just
coordinating.
went out. Yeah, but nobody actively coordinated. That just happened to be.
I mean, you just
Nobody
wear
tried
black
to coordinate.
pants,
So I just yeah, I guess.
Correct. So I assume that when nobody coordinated, they would use black. So he was the one that wanted to coordinate, and he was the one not wearing black pants.
I mean, if you're gonna go for
Johan,
color,
Where are my
we
pants?
didn't win TI because of it.
I mean, if you're gonna go
Yep.
for color, then it
Because of the
requires
bands.
coordination, right? Like, obviously we're not gonna be coordinated if you go for some pink pants. Like, you have to let us
But
know. You
I
have to give
usually
us a
do
memo.
gray shopping. I do gray shopping. So if I just pick something random, most likely, or if something nobody tells me, I'm gonna go for gray. I
Okay.
think most other people would probably have either black, or some people would have white or whatever.
I would say that the only people that can wear gray sweatpants in public are NBA players. That's it. You can't, that's not an optimal gray pant excursion.
Well, you can also have like jeans that are gray, right? I have a couple
Yeah.
pairs. They're awesome.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah. Stop hating on gray, man. Gray is in. It's
The
the
new
new
gray.
fad.
Gray is the new,
Yeah.
the new gray. Well, so as you can see, we really don't get to talk much about work when we are together. This is a perfect example. But I wanted to bring Mike and I wanted to bring Seb because there's been obviously this big topic about how do we fix Dota. So I would like to first play the video and then we can talk about it.
Hi, hello. I hope all of you are well. So my question for today is, what are your thoughts on how we can improve Dota Esports as a whole?
Okay, so pretty much let's say that the ground is now in front of us. Seb, what are the main things or the first ideas that come to mind about how to fix the competitive environment of current Dota?
How to fix the competitive environment of current Dota. That's a good one. Do I get hired by Valve if I nail it? Like, how does it work? How does this work?
You could.
Oh,
There is a
okay.
chance because it's
Not
like the
interested,
chocolate
not
factory,
interested.
We never
Thank
know
you
who
very
is
much.
inside.
It's okay. No, I'm good being just a partner. No, I mean, I think maybe the ability to plan things more in advance. I think that's like the first thing that comes to my mind is like evolving, competitively in Dota is like being in the dark, basically. There's no better way to put it. Like, you're constantly in the dark. You don't know what's about to happen. You invite your friends and family and whatever. You have people come over, book tickets, book hotels to TI, and then 2 weeks. What was it? Was it 2 weeks before to the event or a month? I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter because we're so used to it. But then you just get the memo that, all right, there's not going to be an audience. Then you get the memo that there's not going to be a LAN, or there is going to be a LAN. You know what I mean? Like, it's always so confusing. And I understand that it must be tough to monitor, but whatever action they can take to give people more time to prepare, and by people I mean literally everyone in the scene, like the fans, the TOs, the players, the teams, the sponsors. I mean, honestly, I think everybody suffers a lot from this uncertainty and the fact that overnight you could have a news about cancellation or changes for everything. We've had that with dates and whatnot, so just good better planning. That would be my first take.
Right. So that's a great point. More heads up, greater planning, ability to plan into the future. Great point. Mike, you get the next question. I feel this is like a quiz show, So Mike, for $25, what would be your next change?
My next change. I mean, given that I've been pretty much on the outskirts of it, I mean, I think latching onto the point of kind of the competitive scheduling, at least for what I've seen in terms of the pro league circuit itself, like obviously it's a step in a direction to give some, you know, clarity and structure. Like it's not a full franchised model, right? Where you come in and there's these teams are always going to be competing. There's the promotion relegations of it, but you know, I think optimizing for kind of your higher viewership matches as well from the competitive side to make sure that you're getting the, you know, you're really growing the ecosystem, because I think right now there's a lot of kind of uncertainty that we've seen from you know, just this past one, right, with teams that are like coming and going, and there's been quite a bit of drama, at least from this first season, that I've noticed, at least from the outside, right, where teams just aren't performing and they have like a sizable brand. So it's like, how are we helping the teams that actually want to invest into the space, like, stay consistent with it? And that'd be my, you know, amateur Reddit armchair analyst take on that. There's just got to be ways to kind of grow the pie on that side, because right now it's basically carried by the 4 teams that are in, you know, Western Europe effectively for the main viewership side of it.
Okay, so competitive structure and help people that are investing in the ecosystem. I would say that is a key learning. Johan, how about you?
Well, I think 2 points were kind of made, and I think 2 points kind of like to try and simplify it. One is when Valve or the Dota part of Valve has made plans, they don't always follow through and they don't always come to fruition. I think even with the DPC system, even with the flaws that they have for this year, even with the flaws that they have for the COVID year, if they could have realized their plans, realized the tournaments, it would have already been a lot better. So to that point, the reason why I don't think it's happening is because they're understaffed / there's not a absolutely dedicated team of people trying to make competitive Dota work. And it reflects in communication with teams, and it reflects in communication with fans and users, players. So that's one thing. Like, how can they change for something better? I would say hire some people or put a team together and like become the face of you know, Dota esport part of it, or whatever you want to call it, entirety of it. Because right now it's like it's Verkim on Twitter and Bruno and that's all that people know, and it's we don't know much more either, you know. We don't know much more people. We don't know much more. Yeah, like how their hierarchy and how their view is. So that would be one thing. And then the other thing would also be better planning and decision making. And it would also come from better communication. I do think that this DPC system, regardless of overall viewership, I do think that it's not good for the pro teams. I don't think it's good for just the overall scene, the money that could be coming in and the hype tournaments that could be had with having a DPC system. So I think they can do better in that too. It could probably boil down to the same things. But definitely communicating and also using the resources that are here, which is us, which is other teams, which is fans or people. There are a lot of people who are out there breathing Dota, willing to die for this game, and I don't think they're utilizing nearly enough. Like, it's a community-driven, made everything game. It's all about the community. I don't think it's being used enough. Valve could tap into it. They could definitely tap into it, and I don't think they're using it. So that would be my 2 cents.
I have a question for you, Seb, which is always very fun. We joke a lot. So you are a legendary player, and so are you, Johan. You're 2 times TI winner, 4 times major winner. So you must have a very close relationship with Valve. I'm sure that Valve messages you all the time about telling you about their plans, and when you send emails, immediately they respond.
Actually,
like, it's a very tight relationship.
I got distracted during this podcast because they just keep texting me. Like, they just won't stop, and they're asking me about the next major and what I think we should do. Not now. All the time I get these calls. I'm like, dude, like, please give me a break here. Like, you know, you guys gotta do your things on your own.
The DPC system is going swimmingly.
Yeah, stop caring so much about me and other players and teams. Like, you guys can take initiatives. It's okay. Like, we'll just follow through, you know? No, dude, like, we actually, I mean, I personally, I like them very much because every time we get to meet up and stuff, like, we, you know, they're nice and everything is you know, they're just nice people, honestly. But when it comes to how they handle things, it's. But you know how I guess it's. I mean, I was gonna make draw some bad analogies. I need to find a better one. But when you, because I was gonna compare myself to a dog. Like I got used in a certain way, so like I got raised in a certain way. So now I'm just used to that. You know, I'm just used to not being giving any heads up.
Institutionalized.
Yeah. So whatever they give me now, I'm just like, that's so nice of you to let me know that, you know, in a week we're gonna go to another country than the one that was planned. That's very nice. But you know, sometimes when you talk to people, you know, now I hear Mike and I'm like, yeah, maybe that's not so normal. You know, maybe we should try to get something else, like better treatment. But I'm kind of used to it, so it's like, this is my world, this is my reality, you know.
Literal Stockholm syndrome.
And
Exactly.
I would
I like
really
them.
not want to settle either, you know? I don't want to settle because the bar has been set so low that when we raise it an inch, it's like, they're going the right way. It's like high five. It's like, it's good enough, you know? Like, no, I think we can aim really high, you know? I think the professionalism is there and everything. And people are ready. I think Valve are the ones who are behind.
You know how it started? It's like,
So,
one of my first experiences with Valve was back then when I was trying to qualify to TI, which Johan never learned about until later, because he's premium and I'm pleb. But you know, for us pleb,
Could be
we
invites.
had to try to qualify. You know, we had to try to get Valve's attention. And back then it wasn't truly like qualifiers. It wasn't qualifiers at all. Actually, it was just invites.
I was casting your game, by the way.
So you had to like do well somehow, and then you'd have the invites that would come out, right? And they would come out anytime for the rest of the world. So basically, I remember these years where we were up at like 3-4 a.m. just, you know, just smashing the F5 button or whatever the refresh button is now. I'm having like a blackout. F5, right? So just smashing F5, F5, F5. Like, are we gonna get in? Are we gonna get in? No info, no nothing. You know, you'd imagine if you're not part of this ecosystem that you get a heads up, you get an email, you get a text, you get nothing. You're just F5ing the website, like just like everybody else, literally.
Yeah.
Except this is your team.
We were
This is
we were
your career.
estimating. We were like
Yeah.
estimating when we could get the invite.
Yeah, you also had to guess that, right? Like, it's like, do you think it would be next night, like after their dinner or something, or maybe the next day, or they're busy or something? It's somebody's birthday. So you had to guess, and then you had to F5, and then eventually you had the logos that would start popping. It's like, oh, Fnatic is in. Okay. Then they would just stop popping for like half an hour. Nobody knows why. You know, God knows why. And then it pops again. It's like, oh, we're gonna get in. So this is how we got used, like the kind of stuff we got used to. So at this point, it's like, rest is kind of cool, you know. Like,
It's okay. I still use that. What was it? I saw the note
But-
for yeah. Go ahead, Johan.
No, I was just going to say that was cool for a couple of years. I would say after 3 years of that, like it could have gotten a little more with the millions. You know, it could have gotten. You could have gotten an email. Is what I'm saying.
an email would have been nice, but maybe we should have like.
Yeah,
now
but then we
we're
don't
gonna
fucking
get
read
the memes
emails.
about emails. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
we don't get fucking email.
I mean, Johan,
Maybe I
like
did
you're
get
just
one. Let me check.
you're just exposing us. Like, can you just like? It could have been you could have chose something else like a text or call. You had to choose
They
the
call me.
email route.
What's
They
up?
call me the manager Jesus. I take all the blame. I'm the only one that didn't read the email, even though like 8 managers received it and didn't read it. I'm taking it. Like I got this, guys. Don't worry. I'm the manager Jesus.
Oh God.
So for me, I think that the way that I didn't want this to be a podcast about just shitting on Valve, because I actually really like them. The same
Oh.
thing that you said. Every single time we meet them, they're good people, and they're trying to do what in their mind is what they think is best. I think that the problem is not on intentions. I think it's in misalignment. I just don't think that they're getting the right information, which is what Johan said. You know, there's a lot of people in the community that could help them, and I don't think they're really getting the information. So in a very macro level, what I think that Valve needs to decide is that if they're going to take control over their ecosystem or they're going to let it go completely. I think they have to make one of those binary decisions. If you're going to own the ecosystem, just like Riot or Garena or some other games, you are running the leagues, you are running the majors, you are running TI. That's you. It's your product. Okay, you can always hire somebody to do production, but it's your product. You sell against it, you build it, and then if anything happens, it's on you. But at least we all sign in deals with you, the TPAs with you, and everything with you. Okay, That's one side. The other thing you can do is you can completely open it up, like CSGO. And then everybody does whatever they want, and then companies like Blast and ESL start making their own products, and you have a great calendar full of great premium events because somebody else has the ability to make money out of this, so they can spend the money to build it. Because right now in Dota, we're somewhere in the middle. There's no calendar space for anybody to build anything, and the current one is not good enough for us to survive. So I will say from the macro level is either you own it or you delegate it and you let it go. Then on the second level is that it has to be based on the first level. Is, okay, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve more hours played, more ecosystem, more stability? Because if what you were trying to do is create a constant influx of games in all regions, that's the KPI. They want to have this constant regional league. But the problem is that the ecosystem is so skewed to TI, because all the money is in TI, that we're really only playing qualifiers of qualifiers of qualifiers of qualifiers of qualifiers. That's the whole ecosystem. There is no milestones of anything. We're just playing qualifiers.
There's only one climax this whole year. One big climax. Nothing else.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
And then the problem is that you have, for example, these regional leagues where we only play one game per week. But the regional leagues are not real leagues. They're qualifiers to the major that qualifies you to TI. Because there is no real value about winning these leagues. So we play only one game a week on a qualifier. Qualifiers normally are, give me 3 days of qualifiers, and we know if we're in or we're out. We play 3 games a day or 2 games a day, maybe a week if you want to have a double bracket, double elimination. And then in a week, hey, we know if we're in or we're out. There is momentum, the meta is delivering and changing within hours. And at the end of the week, on a Sunday, these are the 6 teams that are going to the major. Right now, when you win, it's very impossible to really carry momentum to the next week. And when you lose, it's impossible to make up because you're not playing for another week. Yeah. But Mike, you have this in League of Legends. How do you guys deal with this? Because the league is the prize. It's not qualifying to do anything, maybe.
So I think there's part of it which I was going to draw a parallel, which is, both the league ecosystem and the Dota ecosystem, they both kind of work up to a tentpole event, which is, Worlds for the league side, and then it's TI for Dota, right? Because if you think about it, spring for League of Legends, historically, we always meme on it. It means nothing because there's just MSI, which, gives your region an extra spot to go to Worlds. So if North America ever won anything in League of Legends, they would actually get to get that advanced spot. But like, if you win the summer split for League, you're just you go to Worlds, right? So you could completely suck the entire year. And they tried to adjust it this past season where they actually
Mike, I have to explain something. So there's two splits. There's the spring split and there's the summer split. The spring split for a few months takes you to MSI, that is middle season invitation. It's just an invitation. And then if you win the second one or you do good in the summer, then you go to Worlds. Okay, sorry.
Oh boy, I got it. No problem. I'll dial it back. I was actually watching the Team Spirit Plays League of Legends video before this, and I was dying because they're trying to liken everything to their Dota champs, and it's like, oh man, everyone's got an Aegis now, and I was like, Chemtech Drake, terrible. But
wait,
anyway, yeah.
Just a quick shortcut. How did that go? Because I only saw the advertising for it. Did they do good or was it terrible?
They lost. So they sucked in the beginning. They were what was it?
How bad?
They were they were trying to clear jungle camps and they were dying because they didn't buy the items.
That bad? They were actually dying to creeps.
Yeah. Whoever was playing top, I don't know who it was, but they were playing
Collapse? What's top? Offlane?
Maybe. Yeah, offlane, I guess. Yeah, your lane, whatever you
Collapse
play.
is like
so, yeah.
some of the finest we have to offer. Like, not Collapse. Take somebody else.
But yeah, they were. It was there was like we should do a video where we just react to that and I could just walk through it and we could go through it, but it was quite entertaining. Anyway,
I think reacting
so
to
there's
league
the
players playing Dota would sound more fun.
League players playing Dota. Look, you can just watch me try to play Kunkka, dude. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I can watch that. I can get behind that.
I only play Rapier Kunkka. That's it.
Oh god.
It's a good strat.
If you're ahead, just get more
Okay,
ahead.
so go back to
Korean
league.
advice.
So we have
Yeah, back to league.
two seasons, spring and
Two
summer.
splits, yep.
Spring gets you to MSI, summer gets you to Worlds. There is no reason
Yep.
for you to win spring, because spring doesn't really get you to Worlds.
Yeah. So basically, what they had tried to do to rectify it this past year was they actually made your record carry over from spring through summer. So that, but again, it just gives you better seeding, right? So effectively, the entire year is just a qualifier, because all you have to do is if you win your league, you will go to Worlds, and then the second, the top 3 teams would end up going the way they structured the bracket out. So it's like as long as you made it through, you could be the 8, because 8 out of 10 teams in summer qualified to playoffs, right? So you could be the 8th place team in theory, and you could win. You have to win a couple BO5s to get there, but if you made it up to the top 3, you're going to Worlds. So you could suck the entire year as long as you made 8th place. And I think this past year you only needed
8 out of 10 teams, okay?
8
We're not
out of
talking
10.
about
Yeah,
45
8 out of
teams.
10.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you 8 out of 10, and then if you were, I think the record to get in for 8th place was like 16 wins out of 45 games. So you needed a 30% win rate. You could make it to the playoffs, and as long as you won 5 BO5s, you make it to Worlds, right? So you could
what
tank
does
the
it take
entire
to
year.
not make it in that case? Like how bad does it have to be?
I
It's
mean,
just
there's only
because
3 teams that go to
yeah.
Worlds out of a 10. So it's just, what he's telling you is that they all get to play the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, the playoffs are where it's a bloodbath. Because in the playoffs, you actually have to win it to make it. But every team gets to play the playoffs.
So how many climaxes does League have a year in terms of like entertainment? Like,
If you
2
you could
qualifiers
you
for
could say
Worlds and
MS no, you could say MSI is basically is kind of the climax. So it'd be, I guess, the equivalent of whatever like the second major would be for the year, something like around that level.
because what I think a lot of people are nostalgic about, and also where they get the idea that things could be better in Dota, is that back in the day there were systems where it really felt like things mattered throughout the whole season. Like you'd win one of the first tournaments, that was your TI invite. That was it. You know, all you needed to do. And it could get you invited, and it could also make your whole year easier. Could make you plan strategically which tournaments to go for, which was like massive. So right off the bat, in the beginning of the season, it was actually really intense, and it was a huge prize to kind of get, because you are, I don't know, at least that's how it felt like to me as a player always. Yeah, when I started playing Dota, is that when you play these big tournaments, it was always your potential ticket to TI. And then the closer you get to TI, the more crucial it would be. Maybe not for the guys who are already there. You don't have the tension for those guys. They're in, but all the rest were not in. They're all dying, for the last couple of slots. And I think that was a really good way to have multiple climaxes, have excitement stay high, have these tournaments matter. There were no silly qualifiers. There were only raw tournaments where it also came with prize. It also came with, big land stage games, intense Dota, high level Dota, but also that since everything revolves around TI anyway, why shy away from it? But now it's really sad to be playing the DPC compared to back in the day, and playing some really hype star ladder, and that could net you the invite just like this can, but this is just so long drawn, and
Yeah.
not so hype.
I want to kind of go maybe take a step back, because I think there's a bigger problem with esports and the viewership, right? If you really think about like traditional sports, and not to be that guy who's like, ball sports, but you think about the seasons that we have in like those traditional games, like if you take, football, for example, like American football, not European football, the season really starts in like August, September, and then it runs through, it'll climax in February, and then you have all this time off. Whereas when you run these concurrent leagues, right, you're basically playing January. And if you go to TI, it's September, October, potentially, depending on when they want to have it. There's this entire calendar you have to fill with matches, and like it's just, I think it's almost impossible to make the ones early on meaningful, because if you say, hey, if you win season 1 of DPC, that's around now. Is it fair to make that team qualify directly to TI and then have them strategically plan? Right? Whereas if the season's potentially shorter, like you can make matches more meaningful. And I think regular seasons are a bit of a trap as well, just because, you'll get the consistent viewership for it, which is great from like a product market standpoint. But a lot of the excitement, a lot of the hype comes with these, climax events, these tentpole events that occur through the year, where it's like, I love I'd rather go to a major. And if I have a major that I know I'm going to qualify for, and it gets me directly there, it means more, because then another team has a chance, then you have a consolidation towards the end, which is what you're kind of getting at. So the regular season, to put value into it for like the actual things that matter, it's kind of diametrically opposed in that sense. There's no one's really struck a good balance because regular seasons, again, they almost don't matter outside of like get 100K viewers, sell it to sponsors type of deal.
In my opinion, the problem is that it's a trickle-down effect. You are creating another problem by solving a problem. Because we never had a problem with hype. The hype, we had it. Remember, we had the 4 majors or the 3 majors, and the other, we play BTS and we play Epicenter. It was okay. Every tournament, every week was a different tournament, and it still was hype. And I actually like the differentiation between traditional sports, because we fit a niche where we were constantly consuming content and Dota content. And if you give me only one game a week, like the NFL, then unfortunately it doesn't hold my attention, so I'm gonna go somewhere else. And that attention, which is at the end of the day where we're all competing for, goes to streamers, goes to something else, goes to Netflix. So you have to put constant product in front of this. I remember, guys, I mean, you guys remember this better than me, but I remember these qualifiers into BTS, qualifiers into Epicenter, and the qualifiers were hype. I mean, they were not like major hype, but they were pretty hype, pretty fun. And then you go directly into Epicenter, which is 2 weeks, and Epicenter was pretty hype as well. I think that by the time they try to...
I think a lot of direct invites, which I think was helpful for the tier 1 scene. I want to say, like, because there is a space and there was a space and there is a space where tier 1 scene is very hype. Dota is very hype. It's also hype because of TI, because of what happens once a year, and everybody can have a dream about going there. So they want to see from tier 1 teams, what are they doing? How do you play Dota? How do you do these things? So giving them the settings of peaking, giving them the reasons to peak, I think is what created all that. But now it's taken a step back. It's gone away from it. Where, beyond the summit, all those tournaments that you're mentioning, like tier 1 teams just got invited. There were still qualifiers. There's still a lot of content being produced by like the tier almost 1 and like 2 point something or whatever you want to call it. It does feel like, like you're saying, one game a week, and like this NHL thing or NFL, it's not. I don't think it fits esports or Dota or whatever you want to call it. I do think that there is a system that is better. We don't have to be soccer either, where it's World Cup every 4 years. No, we can have our TI once a year. I think that has worked tremendously, and I do think that 3 majors, maybe 4, can fit within that year. I don't think you're gonna have 20, but I think there's a season to be had. I think it's also important to take into account and think about, and what then makes sense for that season. Like how much is too much? When could we fit in more and not oversaturate? But Dota never had that issue with hype back in the day, and
never.
The ecosystem was almost running on itself, and Valve was kind of making that thing work that Jay was saying, where they're half. They would kind of judge the year based on these third-party tournaments, and take that into consideration when doing TI invites. That ecosystem worked, and there weren't like massive complaints ever about the way things were.
To compile what you're saying is, so we had an ecosystem that had problems. I was unfair in some things, but it was undeniable that it was super hype, and I think it was undeniable that everybody had different pockets of ownership, which allowed different products to grow. While BTS was completely different from another product, was completely from another product. But there were problems there, okay? Players maybe were not being treated very fairly. We didn't have a lot of quality control of some of these tournaments. There were some scammy tournaments, that were not paying and all that. So then they decided to go completely the opposite way. And then they created themselves a whole new different set of problems that they didn't anticipate. I have to admit one thing, and maybe I'm just very romantic about this, but how I fell in love with Dota would not fit in this current model. I don't think I will fall in love with Dota the way that we're playing it right now. Because the way that I used to consume it is, okay, these guys are playing BTS or these guys are playing Epicenter. So I was glued to my phone, for 4 or 5 days. And all the games were hyped. So I learned to love Dota because all the games were hyped. I didn't only look forward to the OG Secret where I will time it is this Friday. I will be there watching, remember Happy Feets and some of these other teams? And all of them were hype. Because there were these brackets and they're going to play OG next. And they were like back to back to back to back. So in the morning, I will play it. And then at night, I will go to bed.
But I think there's also, I don't know, I mean, I'm listening to what you guys are saying. And now I'm just thinking out loud. But there's something hype about like having like a pool of teams in a reduced period of time battling it out, and then you have like this team bringing something. I mean, I like what Johan said also about the stakes and kind of pushing the tier 1 teams, giving them reason to push it. I think that also just like helps the scene as a whole, and also brings a lot of hype, because the more often you get the best teams to really push their potential, the better it is for the game and for the show also in general. And then you start seeing these teams kind of presenting something that they have prepared or worked on, whatever, and then they set the level of what the tournament is going to be. And I think the excitement and the hype also comes from seeing, of course, you see them win, but then you have other candidates that are going to try to challenge them in a reduced amount of time, and you get to see something develop, kind of. And I think you don't have that with one game a week. Like it just feels very slow. It just feels like there's this one game, but what does a game truly mean in Dota? Like it of course it's nice and stuff, but it doesn't mean as much as, it doesn't really get the subtleness of the game out, and of the competition, and of the high level competition. Like what's super exciting, basically what is exciting about LAN is like, or like about the tournament, you have teams, diverse teams, and that they're really trying very hard, and then you know that things are about to happen. If they're not going to be taken down by this team, then it's going to be the next one. If it's not the next one, then there's like a lot to look forward to in terms of hype, because you don't really know what to expect. And I feel like when you have this one game a week format, it's like, all right, they won or they lost, but I don't know, to me it just doesn't really give the same level of excitement, like at all, for some reason. I don't really know if it's
no cathartic.
Yeah.
There's not. And I would say, I mean, I remember, because I don't want to be like opportunistic, or being kidnapped by the moment. I remember that the other schedule was very hard on players. They had to spend a lot of time away from their homes, which meant they couldn't have significant other pets and homes. So there was like a massive overcorrection at one point. Okay, let's go completely the opposite side. And then through the overcorrection, I think, again, they stumble into another problem. It always happens like this, You're trying to fix one and you stumble into another one. And maybe we are so in love with the old system that I really try to separate myself. Is this system better? How is it helping? Let's analyze it. Okay, this system has created this and this and this. But there is this thing that Johan said all the way at the beginning, where is, yes, this only works if your whole plan is executed to its fullest potential. But the moment that anything happens, and there's a hiccup, and then we cannot do the major, then we're not doing any of this. And what are we doing this for? When they cancel TI on 2020, then what are we doing this for? Like,
no,
that's
think
ridiculous.
about this DPC. Think about this DPC, and when they announced that there's not going to be a major, it's like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't even know which word to use. Like, then it's completely pointless, right? These games, like, and all these weeks of competition, and you lose track of team developing and the meta and whatnot. Like, everything is just, there's so much more at risk.
I feel, for example, and Mike, I'm gonna bring it back to you. I don't think I could get into professional League of Legends with our current LEC or LCS setup. You play a best of one only, by the way, not even best of twos or best of threes. You play best of one, 2 best of ones a week against 2 different teams. At that point, you don't know how a team really plays. You don't know the meta of this. And I know the game is much inferior to Dota, but still, this is going to be used whenever you get into League of Legends.
It does feel like a very stale book when you only get to read about your team, kind of like how they're doing once a week. And then very rarely you get, the fuller story, which would be the LAN event or the media day or whatever that would be. But
yeah,
I say it again, like back in the day, and I agree with Jay. No point being super nostalgic. There had issues, but back in the day, the entertainment was way more suited for. I mean, anybody with short attention span, anybody who was like more into the hype of the scene and into the drama and into the grudge matches and all that. Like now, it's way harder. It is way harder. Like, yeah. I miss the good old times, like part of it, which was, I also think, making Dota peak more, making the Dota peak, because now this once a week thing, of course you get peak games, of course you have teams that are going to play exceptionally well, but I don't think it promotes this as much as other formats.
Yeah, I mean, we can see, I guess, just looking at the league side too. They introduced a before the spring splits. Now they introduced like a small tournament. It's called Lock-In, where basically the first couple weeks of January before the season starts, you play two groups and you're seeded based on teams' placements, and they get to basically the winners get to pick each group out. So, it's doesn't mean anything. It has no impact on the season, but like something in that format where you're playing multiple games against some of these teams early on in the year, and like there's no stakes. But I think when you have the match format like that, where you're going to play games back to back, you can form an opinion. And I think a lot of the times, like what hurts the in the best of ones is there's no narrative around it, right? It's like they played, we played these two teams this week, and it's like maybe the meta favors them, and the patch is going to change in 2 weeks anyway. But if you look at a tournament or like a larger scale event, you can form a narrative. It's like, oh wow, like OG's coming into this event. These are the new players they got. This is what we're expecting from them. You get to see 5 or 6 matches in the span of a week and a half, 10 days or something. And then maybe the next tournament's in a month, and you're saying, oh well, this is how they performed last time. They've been practicing. Maybe they played a couple of games here, but then the next event, it's like, well, this is what we saw last time. What are the changes? There's more of a drastic change, you would hope, at least, going into that, or like, oh, this team's continuing their dominance over months, as opposed to they beat Team Tickles this week. Cool. I'm not really excited about that. Yeah.
It's hard to reach that dominance and pure dominance and feel the grudge between teams build up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think trash talk hasn't really evolved too much. At those events, that's when you get those emotions that run high, which I think is a Valve ecosystem. Like obviously, I've worked with CS before, and I've worked, on the league side. People that work in the Valve ecosystem of games tend to be edgier in terms of their because they only see each other on these like LAN events historically, right? So all these emotions, all this physical energy is there. Right. Whereas in League, it's like, yeah, we're just showing up at the studio. It's a casual Friday. We're getting our, our venti frappuccinos, and we're sitting on stage, and then just gonna, we'll play a game. We'll go back home, and we'll get K barbecue afterwards. So
that doesn't sound so hype to me either. I'll be honest. That really does not sound very hype.
Yeah.
So
the K barbecue is pretty good.
No, the Korean barbecue is always hype. Yeah, that's very hype.
When we started CS:GO, I was very critical of the ecosystem, because the CSGO ecosystem is actually very closed. And I remember telling Nico in a conference, yeah, Nico, of course you like, Nico from the CEO of Vitality, it's like, of course you like closed ecosystem because you are inside the party. If you were outside the party, you wouldn't like this ecosystem. And he laughed. And I still feel the same way. But in CSGO, we are in a way part of the ecosystem now. So in my mind, it's like, this is the best ecosystem we have right now in esports, in my opinion. The CSGO has the best tournaments, the best productions, and because you have different TOs fighting for each other to make it, the tournaments are super hype. I do agree that the calendar is a little bit too packed, and it's sometimes hard to find some of these storylines. But in CSGO, you see like, okay, well, Navi did really good in this tournament. Who's going to be able to dethrone them? OG has a new IGL. How are they going to do in here? Oh, now G2 has Alexi B. How is he going to be doing here? Device is not playing for NIP, and these new young ninjas coming in. The story ones are really cool, and you pack the games, and in a week we play, 10 games. And you finish, and it's like clear champions, clear losers, clear people that have something to change, and then you get together in another battle a few weeks later. But it's true that CSGO at the same time is very close, dude. It's very, very close. If you're not one of those top 20 teams, there's no space for you to survive in this ecosystem. So I can see the pros and cons of everything.
I mean, you could have qualifiers.
In Dota right now, anybody can get a guys.
You could have qualifiers anyway for these events. I think you could find a way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and I think you could find a way to not have it closed while keeping what you like about it. I actually think it's two distinctive matters. I think you could have both.
Okay.
But there's a lot of upsides to having leagues or having predictability, I would say, for the greater good of the scene. What I mean is, like, let's say you have a league and it becomes a more closed system, like it is in CSGO. I also think it comes with a general upside, financially speaking, and for the whole scene. But at the same time, I also would like to see a, the 1 or 2 qualifier slots so that anybody, or that there is a way in. I do think that the NBA or whatever other league for typical sports where there's zero chance for new people to get in is a bit against the competitive spirit. But at the same time, I think the more of that, the more financial planning you can do, and which will just lead to better things overall for all the people, even the new who could find their way in there. Kind of the same thing, which I think just happened in Dota, but even though it was fully open, it was like very close just in terms of the players. And there was always the same teams who would have to get in there, and the only way you'd get smarter is kind of like wait for your turn. But yeah, I would agree that CSGO is the best ecosystem currently, like the most, and I think it just comes from the hype that's being built, and then it is oversaturated because everybody wants to get in on it, and they could just turn it down a notch, but not too much. But yeah, I also think it's the better one right now because it has all that hype.
No, it's just like the importance of the narratives. I think that's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's probably what hypes me up personally the most. It's like whether the schedule has to allow it, the production, you know, whatever really helps, but it's really that creates the excitement. You know, it's having these stories build up, so they need enough time to build up. They maybe need enough games to be played in order for it to be legit, which is like there hasn't been like only one game, and then there's not much you can make out of it, and you have to wait another 10 days for this other game. And narratives are everything, and I think that's also the part of CSGO. I mean, you said it yourself, Jay, is like, you know, you have the Navi dominance, and then you have these guys, you know, trying to pick themselves up and whatever, and this is truly what's exciting about it, and making sure that, so the nice thing about like the spirit of competition, what is it, is like you want to make sure that you get the best talent in your competition, and I think keeping it open, it doesn't matter if it's super open or there's only one slot or two slots, but I think just having this one slot, this possibility of like, hey, there's, you know, this guy or this girl or whatever, this team like out there, and they look to be, you know, the next big thing. You need to find a way to get them in somehow. I think for the sake of the show and for the people that really enjoy watching the discipline, whatever it is, whether it's esports, sports, whatever, I think that's quite important. This is when you know you're getting, you know, the best, and you also know that whatever teams you have already competing, they're gonna get challenged by the best the world has to offer, kind of. I think that's super exciting.
When EPL and Blast pitched this to Valve require them to keep it open at least for a few slots. That's what they require. They didn't want to close it completely. So it was like, if you can do this, yeah, but you have to, like you said, you have to put a slot so it changes. It's not a completely closed league. I was gonna mention something that, to echo what you're saying, a lot of people came to watch us this last week when we played the Blast tournament because they wanted to see Nexa. They wanted to see how is OG gonna be doing now that they finally changed this and this and this. Are they gonna burn? Are they gonna do better? So you see now they're not really joining, oh, let me see how the meta is in this game. It's not like, oh, so for example, we just lost to Liquid. Okay, I wanna go right after. I wanna go another game. Because now it's like, oh, were you OG a fluke? Are the young kids gonna be able to pick up themselves up? Like, it's funny that we end up with this 3 days bracket and nothing for 7 weeks and then a month in the middle. So we've never really been able to create any narrative because we don't know, are we for real? Are OG kids for real? Is Secret just chilling and sandbagging until it matters?
But the narrative is kind of boring though, right? It's like, when did we last play Liquid? Oh, it was a qualifier. Oh yeah, we lost. That was weeks ago. That game didn't even matter. I mean, now we're finally getting to a game that mattered and it hurts. We lost and it hurts, and now we want to play them again, you know? But again, this is a 3-day tournament. The other game is not a month away, and there's actually something here at the playoffs. But yeah, it is quite crazy to have that DPC format spanned over so long with so little games and with so little repetitive. Like you need the same teams to clash a bit more or have the potential to meet each other again more frequently.
Or if anything,
as high stakes as possible.
I think like one of the things that the DPC format could allow is to build more hype. I think you have to build the hype actually, like between the games, but that requires like
But then you have to talk shit about the other guys or something, right?
Yeah, but I think
just
that
to do it.
requires
I mean,
like
you both
DPC
you
or
both
Valve.
are doing your best to do this, calling people pussies and saying something
I'm
about
going
cheaters.
on
girlfriend.
Twitter now
I
again.
mean,
Let's
we're
go
just-
right now.
dude, like at the
You
end of
try.
the day,
You
it's
try,
just
okay? We've
big
been-
hearts, like no hype. Let's make it hype. Like this guy's a cheater right there. Yeah, I called him out. No, but
It's like OG carrying the narrative, since 2019, 2018.
no, but okay.
There is nothing going on this week. Let's take Sebastian to surgery. Let's bring Mike. Let's send Mike back. Yeah, you guys single-handedly carry Dota.
No, but listen, when you think about it, like like at the end of the day, what we're saying is that what really matters is the narratives and the storylines. This is what creates most of the hype, or it really, brings a lot of excitement. Sure, you could be the devil's advocate and say if you have a 3 days tournament, even if you have the best teams from all over the world, you don't really have the time to build on the storylines. I mean, they kind of build themselves already. Just the games and the results and whatnot. With the DPC format, maybe Valve or the TOs, they would, even the teams themselves, like whoever is up to create content or like create, kind of just tell the stories, they have time to do so. Leading up to the game, what has been happening, maybe getting a glimpse of the practice, getting a review of what has happened the week before. How does it matter? I feel like the problem with the DPC, honestly, is that there's nothing happening, like besides the games. You just have this game. There's
What was their last player profile?
yeah,
Valve made. Speaking of what you're
exactly.
saying.
There's like none of that, and you have like these 10 minutes before the game that honestly is like, I mean, the effort is nice, but it's not super quality content. It's like just have casters kind of discussing, oh, this team, they did this and they did that. You don't feel like there's been effort being put in really building the stories. Because if you think about it, you have 1 week to build up the stories. You could have great content, and then the game would actually be pretty hype if you spend time kind of building that. But yeah, there's just like
So
very
I would say
unexploited
that I wanna-
potential.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. I interrupted.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no, I mean, as somebody who, if I wanted to get into Dota, right, like if I wanted to actually like sit down and watch and try to learn, like, if I sit there, as I've kind of alluded to, like, there's an analysis of the game which is great, but like, I don't understand what I'm getting into. Like, there's nothing that's gonna like grabs me and says like, man, I really want to follow this team or this player because I'm listening to like the pregame, the postgame analysis. Like, yes, OG are 4-3. There's some tiebreakers here. They lost to this team. They're young guys. It's like, cool, but what is that tells me? Like, I could Google that. I could look at I could go to Wikipedia and figure it out. Whereas like, and I think we've also seen it in other esports. There's a lot of like this effort to manufacture rivalries and manufacture the narrative, which is just, I think it is a part of the TO ecosystem, right? Like, if Valve's not going to jump into with the competitive operations and putting a structure around it, it has to go to the TO. And I think that's just part of the event creation is like, sure, the format of your event's important, the competitive integrity of your event's important, you want good teams, but like, what is going to get me to watch? Because if I have an investment into this event and the story, I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to, for partners who are working with the events, I want to buy their products. I want to look at their things that they're advertising. It makes their marketing efficient. But when I turn into the team, like, I watched the match this morning, I'm like, I have no fucking clue what's happening, right? Like, I don't know why this match matters as like an observer. I wouldn't know why this match mattered other than, oh, it's for DPC points. What does that mean? Like, there's no explanation. There's no education for somebody who wants to get into it. So you're just kind of pitching the content to your core audience, and you're never really growing that out to, to people. And like, that would make me concerned for like the future of the, of the game itself. Is if you're just going to keep going down this road, you're just going to have your dwindling core audience. You're going to turn into baseball, right? Where people are just going to gradually go away from it, and then new people will find new games. So
I want to close this podcast because I'm trying to keep them at an hour, even though I think we could be talking about this for many, many more hours. I would love to have you both back. And I think obviously there is a lot more parallelisms, and we can do like a esports kind of talk, business talks, where we can break down other things. But yeah, I wanted to see if you guys have like final thoughts, 1 minute each or 30 seconds each. Seb,
final thoughts about?
When do you want to wrap this up? About the podcast, about you being here, about Mike, about, I don't know, about the wall that you have behind you and why you're stuck in a prison. Anything you want to share?
I mean,
I just got out.
I think it was fun. I think Johan's answers and takes were pretty boring, but I'm kind of used to it.
That's what I'm here for.
But I like it because I think it puts
boring
like
person, boring.
it sheds a good light on me and Mike. Because whenever we go after Johan, it's just it's easy.
They call me the
sound
contrast,
smart.
man. I'm just a contrast.
I'm kidding, bro. No. I mean, I like it. It's fun. It's fun to talk about stuff. I think, yeah, I'm happy to be back for other things. I don't know if I'm that qualified to discuss esports things. I mean, my take is as good as a Redditor's take, which is a good take. Like, it's a take, so I don't mind.
It's perfect. They're our audience.
It's the truth.
They're exactly our audience.
He's saying it.
Exactly.
said
Like,
it.
yeah, I just don't want to sound like I think I know what I'm talking about. Like, I just talk about it. You know? Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So the final thoughts were amazing. You still haven't clarified why you're in a prison.
I'm not
and
in
why
a-
you have like a
This is
naked
just-
brick behind it.
No. This is just how it is. Isn't it like a bit New Yorky? Like this?
Yeah, but have you
Exposed
seen that there's like
brick,
a one of them missing? Is that when
Yeah.
you try to escape through the prison?
I
You see
took
behind
it.
you?
I took it.
There's
I liked it. I
one
took
brick
it.
missing. You put the knife
It's
in
not
there.
a real brick.
Some-
It's like a fake wall tester.
You guys have like white walls. Like you're not taking any risk, and you're just criticizing mine. Just like
No.
I have
something.
anime pictures on my wall. I'm taking a big risk here.
Yeah, but that's cheating. I just want like the wall. I could put posters and stuff too, and you wouldn't know.
Not on a brick wall. No.
Mike, how about you? Final thoughts?
It's nice to dive in and have a different perspective because obviously my Dota knowledge is cripplingly limited. So, and I'm also happy to discuss, the superior MOBA that is League of Legends. Very kid game cartoon graphic. Yeah, it's okay. Don't go into our Discord because I talk shit all the time. So, but yeah, no,
Well,
definitely
who knows?
good
Maybe we end
experience.
up in the other MOBA. Let's just not call it superior or inferior. Just the other MOBA.
Yeah.
Maybe soon. All right, Johan, how about you? Final thoughts?
No, I think it's hopefully these talks, I don't know, inspire something good. I think it's always nice to bring up these subjects of relevance and subjects of improvement. Yeah, I'm happy to have had good company today, and I'm excited to see the take and the angry email that we'll get from Valve later.
Yeah.
No.
If we do this, if we do this episode once a
I mean,
week,
I
we'll get
was-
an email. So that's how we communicate.
Yeah. No,
Sorry, I don't read emails. We're
I
fine.
I know that Valve have done a lot of good things in the past. I just want to say I'm so happy to have been blessed with a company adopting Dota 1 and making Dota 2, and the history has been great. I'm still excited for the new patch. I'm still excited for the game. It's an incredible game. But I also worry, I want to see this game go on and on and on, and yeah, I'm all ears. I'll read my emails from now on, and yeah, excited for better Dota and like a better Dota ecosystem in the future.
Awesome. For me, the final thought is it's clear that even when you have three very smart people in the room, there's still a lot of ideas bouncing around that they're not fully settled. But you see that the moment that you talk about them, some of them starts really to shape up, which is, I think, what we should be doing. Because I think that I was convinced maybe about the importance of narratives when I never really thought about that until maybe right now, We've been fighting on another battlefield. So I think that these kind of conversations will make everybody always smarter. And bringing people from other ecosystems, which is why literally we hire Mike from another ecosystem, it expands our vision of the world. Because sometimes we just get too little, in our world. Oh, my pain, my world. And then you're like, hey, this is how we do it in this other inferior MOBA, So, it's always really refreshing.
It never stops delivering. Like you said it like 15 times. It's been as funny as the first one.
Inferior mode.
Just keep it up. It actually never stops. I love it. It's endless source of joy.
Yeah.
It's fucking wonderful.
It's always like, I always for me,
sorry.
the best thing about League of Legends is the ecosystem, and the worst part is the game. So it's always fun,
Okay, it's okay.
Oh my god, what an intense pack game. It's like, what an intense pack game. It's been 25 minutes and the score is 1-0. Huh? So what you been doing for the last 25 minutes? Oh, he just killed the creep. Okay, and that's it. And then
Yeah,
we
go cut
get
down
to
some
the
more-
big-
cut down some more trees.
20, what an intense game.
Yeah, go. Every time I watch a Dota game, it's he's cutting down some trees. He's TPing out. He's TPing out again. There's a.
Pretty accurate.
Oh yeah, there's a BKB. He's TPing out of it. Can't CC him. It's terrible.
Hey, our TPs cost money, okay? It's a financial decision. It's not as simple.
Died. Let me just buy myself back. Which
I think
is
you have a
actually
great
League is.
grasp on Dota, eh? You're very humble. You pretty much understand the game already.
Yeah, I understand the
So
game. Just run it each.
You have to start Dota, and then you go to your lane, and if you die, you can just buy back right away. It's a solid strategy. You don't have to spend any time
your
dead.
teammates
You
are
get
gonna
like
extra
it too.
XP.
Yeah,
Don't listen to your teammate. Don't listen to your teammate. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're just
they're
hating.
just hating you because you're better than them.
Yes, exactly. Just go ahead and do it. You'll have a great experience.
You're better than them.
Yeah.
That's the
Run
one.
back. Yeah.
Oh my god. Amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much. This episode was great. Please, please, please come back. We would love to have you here. I mean, Johan and I, conversations are already getting boring, so we need new blood into this ecosystem. Because besides all these stories, we know we need new people and new energy. Thank you so much, everybody. Give me your blood, indeed. Thank you so much, everybody, and see you guys next week. Bye bye.
Thank you. See you.